Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. In just a moment, I'm going to walk my happy butt over to the futon to check out the Shudder original, Shadow of God. Shadow of God is directed by Michael Peterson, and it's starring Mark O'Brien, Jacqueline Byers, and Sean Johnston. It tells the story of an exorcist who's given the task of doing an exorcism that's very different than any he's done before, because this may be a holy possession. That's right, this person might be possessed by God himself. This looks like a really different, unique take on the exorcism genre, which I'm on board for. It's probably my least favorite subgenre of horror movies, is exorcism movies. In my opinion, every time we see one of these movies, it's always the same thing. Someone's got the demons in them, and some priest is gonna pull them out. Normally an older priest and a younger priest. That seems to be the formula for an exorcism movie. But this time, the baddie is God. Possibly. Maybe it's somebody tricking them. I don't know. This movie looks pretty interesting, so you know what? It's enough of me sitting here jibber-jabbering on. It is time for me to get over to the futon, because my good old pal Haku is patiently waiting on me, and if there's one thing you don't want to do, is keep a tabby cat waiting on a horror movie. Just getting done watching Shadow of God, and guys, while there's things about this movie I did like, I do feel this movie was kind of mid for me. It's a 50-50. So let's get this started, shall we? We're going to get things started with negatives, then move into the positives to end the video on the ever so important high note. The first thing I want to talk about is just kind of the storytelling and pacing of this film. The first and second act of this movie really just kind of drone on. Now, in exorcism films or religious horrors and all, those acts are generally the ones that you have where our characters are trying to figure out what's going on. They're learning about the lore. They're solving the mystery of the 7 gates of hell or whatever they're supposed to be doing. And then that leads into some big, huge event of cataclysmic proportions. I don't think I said that right, but I'm not going to re-edit that. What I'm trying to say is this movie isn't necessarily a slow burn, because while it doesn't necessarily move quickly in the first and second act, it doesn't have the intrigue and all to keep you invested in this film. In all honesty, guys, I probably would have turned this movie off and moved on to something else about 45 minutes into it if I wasn't actually going to be doing a review for this movie. It does kind of keep you intrigued by giving you some ideas, like some philosophical questions and all, that get kind of sprinkled around throughout the movie to kind of make you go like, okay, so we're going to go into one of those types of areas. We're going to go into some metaphor and such as that, you know, some more surrealist type of area with this film, and it doesn't necessarily get there. And then finally, it just kind of hands answers to our people, all of our characters. So like our main character is staying at his childhood home. At least I think it was his childhood home. I don't really know, to be perfectly honest, because I kept kind of fading in and out of interest at the beginning. But anyways, he returns to this home while he's there, and then his father, who was supposedly dead, is dropped off by a sheriff. And there was really no kind of build-up or anything to this whole thing. It's just this guy has this event at the beginning of the movie. An exorcism goes awry. He decides he wants to go get his head straight. So for some reason he chooses this place of great trauma for him. But whatever. So he goes back there to hang out there at his trauma house and try to get himself back together again. And then out of nowhere, they deliver his dad, who was supposedly dead. Not supposedly dead, he was dead. He saw this guy die in front of his eyes. And now that keeps you intrigued. You're like, wow, what's going on? And then really nothing. He doesn't try to figure out what was going on. They just go inside the house, they talk a little bit, and he's like, I'm gonna exorcise this demon because obviously you're possessed. Because how else could you come back to life? And that's it. They don't really try to do any kind of investigating into what was going on and all. Everything's just kind of handed to our characters as this goes on. And then it finally gets into that third act and things do get really interesting. but it never feels like this is really building to anything really huge and grand whatsoever. Like, nothing else is really going on throughout the world or anything that makes you feel like there's any kind of, big event or anything that's going on, but yet there is. Everything does seem like it's taking place just on the farm and all, which would be great, but the events that are supposed to be happening at this time, it does seem like there should be something else going on with this, not just these weird little events on this farm. So all in all, guys, let's get into those positives, shall we? The first thing, the acting was solid. There's no real bad acting in this film. Everyone does a really good, really good job in their roles. The special effects, there are some pretty good violent moments in this film. There is a little bit of carnage, and a lot of that looks really, really good. They use practical effects, real fake blood. I can't believe I'm saying real fake blood, but I am. Here we are. They use the good stuff, let's put it that way, and everything looks very good and solid in those scenes. The movie doesn't necessarily build a lot of tension or suspense, but it does bring up some nice little philosophical moments, and there are some really cool visuals and all that go into it. They question this priest's faith, and there's all sorts of really cool different effects that they use for, let's just say, other demons and whatnot that come into the area. So I liked some of the visuals and all that came into this movie. It just didn't feel like there was enough there to make this an actual feature-length film, because the first and second act honestly feel like filler, and they're just kind of trying to stretch the movie out. Now, if this was something like an episode of an anthology, even an anthology film or an anthology TV show or something, there was a lot of really cool stuff that could have happened in this, but it just felt really drug out and pulled out, in all honesty. All in all, guys, I don't think this was a terrible film. There was some good stuff here. The special effects were really well done. There are some neat little ideas that are brought up into this film. And I like the fact that they tried to take on a subject matter that I really honestly do not like in horror whatsoever. I am not an exorcism fan when it comes to it, and I did find some stuff in this film that I like. So that in itself should at least tell you something. I think if you're somebody who is a hardcore fan of exorcism films and, you want to see something that's slightly different than what you normally see, you might find something out there. But unfortunately, guys, I don't think it was enough for me to become a fan of this subgenre of horror. But honestly, there's nothing terrible here, so if you're curious, give this a stream. It is streaming after all, so all it's going to cost you is your time. So thanks again for checking out the Film Geek, guys. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing I could do for you, that is keep watching movies. I'm gonna.